Hey everyone, welcome back to The Truth About Us. This is the place where we stop hiding, we stop pretending, and we finally get brutally honest about who we are as men, what we feel, and what we're actually capable of. So I'm your host, Don Crampert from Unstoppable Life. And today we'll be talking about another important topic, another important thing that most of us men were never given the language for, but have been carrying our entire lives. So today we're going to be talking about anger. That may trigger a lot of you, but it's not necessarily the kind that explodes in rage. And it's not the kind that breaks things or burns bridges or blows things up. Okay? But the anger I want to talk about, it's the kind that sits quietly downloaded in our body, and the kind that shows up as irritation or like silence and withdrawal or sarcasm, or distance. Because here's the truth. Anger isn't the problem, my friends. Anger is the signal. And if we've been taught to fear it or suppress it or be ashamed of it, we've probably been missing what it's been trying to tell us. That's usually the issue. So just remember this. We won't be punished for our anger. We will be punished by our anger. Anybody that's familiar with me might be familiar with you. So here's the myth about anger that most men were taught one of two things about. Either anger makes you dangerous, or anger makes you weak. One of those two things. So I know I've learned, but we do one of three things in those situations. We either explode, we numb out, or we shut down. And actually, none of those resolve anything. Anger itself is actually neutral. You know what it is? It's information. It's our internal emotional system saying something to us. And it usually means something matters, right? Or maybe a boundary was crossed. Or that piece of information is value of mine was violated. Or a need went unmet. So all that information means anger doesn't show up randomly. It shows up when something important to us is being ignored. And it's usually being ignored by others or even by ourselves. And this is the mistake I made. It's probably common with all of us. 100% of the time, we make that mistake and we point the finger directly at the problem the moment we escalate it. And the moment we escalate it, the problem is right in front of us. And we did this. We say, see what you did to me? See what that is? That happened? But the truth is, all of the pain and all of the struggle and all of the reasons we find, all of that anger is associated with all of those feelings, has absolutely nothing to do with who awakens it. So what is anger really pointing to here? So let's slow this down. Right? Under anger, there's almost always some sort of hurt or disappointment or fear or the feeling of being powerless, or even grief. But many men that I've spoke to were never taught how to recognize or name those emotions. They go unnamed. So guess what happens? Anger becomes the translator. And you know what anger says to us? You know what that translation? I didn't feel heard. I don't feel respected. I feel dismissed. I feel small. I feel trapped. So all those things, instead of asking what we should do here is, what is this anger protecting or teaching me? See, our emotions jump in way too early in the process of things, and they take over. They take over the process, we judge it, we suppress it, or we turn it inward. And when anger becomes what I called stored energy into our body, it will become destructive, and not because it's bad, because it's ignored. And so you might be asking, why do we often turn anger inward? What happens? Well, something why we don't talk about enough. That's why we're here. So when anger isn't expressed safely, it doesn't disappear, my friends. It turns inward, and then it's downloaded into stored energy. And then guess what happens? It becomes depression, anxiety, chronic frustration, low self-worth, self-sabotage. Any of these sound familiar to any of you? See, many of us are not angry people. We don't wake up angry. We're angry at ourselves for not speaking up, or for staying silent too long, or for tolerating what never aligned with who we are truly becoming. And anger becomes shame or depression when it has nowhere to go. So we have to develop a different relationship with anger. Let me ask you this. What if anger isn't asking us to react, but to listen? What if anger is asking, what boundary needs to be set right here? Or what truth needs to be spoken about, to be revealed? Or what part of me has been ignored for too long? And maybe what do I need to honor right now for me? See, this took a lot to do for myself, but I've understood this, that anger, when understood, becomes clarity. It becomes a direction and a compass pointing us back to ourselves. And we use our GPS. That's our gut positioning system, right? And when we know that, we get in the right place with clarity. So here's a gentle reflection for all of you that are listening. And I want to start by asking you a couple of questions with no judgment and no fixing required, just some awareness. Where have you been feeling irritated lately? What keeps triggering you? What conversation have you been avoiding? What truth have you been swallowing or suppressing to keep the peace? Now think about your answers, and I want you to be very, very clear, and I'll be clear with you that none of your answers here are weakness. Your answers are awareness knocking at the door, and awareness is always the first step towards change and reviving your empowerment. So remember, anger isn't telling you that you're broken or you're mad. It's telling you that you care. It's telling you that something inside you still knows what matters. And it's also telling you that you can stop fighting anger and start listening to it. Because when you listen to it, it'll shift from being a weapon and become a teacher. Many men, anger isn't always expressed by yelling or confrontation. It is also expressed by silence. So just remember, it's now a teacher. And if we're ready for something a little deeper and continued expansion and growth and empowerment, I want you to check out my Unstoppable Life app, and you can find it by searching the Unstoppable Life. Just type this in, Unstoppable Life, in your app store and find it. And if you want something a little more personal, just go to my website, unstoppablelifenetwork.com. Scroll down, find the Contact Me button, and request a free one-on-one discovery session with me, just me and you. And let's talk. Tune in next week. We'll be discussing why we shut down instead of speaking up. It's the cost of silence, the fear beneath it, and how to find our voice again without blowing everything up. So thank you all for being here, and I congratulate you for doing the inner work that most men avoid. And remember, your inner peace is the foundation of your outer success. Until next time, stay honest, stay aware, and keep choosing to show up, because this is the truth about it.